I think we've just got to face it, to be honest. The Democrats are just amazing at politics. They just can't stop winning. There's just this
they're not even tired of winning.
There's this indescribable formula, literally indescribable because we're using YouTube, that allows them to pull out these tremendous victories out of the hat.
It's brilliant.
And it commits us to a set of statements that I never thought I would have to believe, but I don't have a choice. Like, I mean, if you go back 10 years ago, I would never have known that Barack Obama was actually wildly less popular than Joe Biden. I would never have known. I would never have known.
You can feel it these days.
Yeah, exactly. You can literally feel it. And so it's just all of these things are just so strange that it makes you wonder whether Jonathan Haidt was actually right. Because in his book, The Righteous Mind, which you can go over to lotus.com and check out, he argues that, in fact, the Conservatives have this moral advantage over the left because out of the 5 or 6 moral taste receptors, the Conservatives can activate all 3, whereas the left can only activate 2. And Jonathan Haidt appears to have been totally BTFO'd by the constant and repeated staggering victories of the left. Because it turns out all you need to do is activate 2 moral receptors really intensively, and you can win all the time. And so this is what the Conservatives kind of need to learn. But you can go and watch that for more information on how Jonathan Haidt was just wrong, apparently, about the Conservative advantage. So let's go back to August. Let's have a look at the predictions. Oh, God, GOP gusher. This is how bad things were at the beginning of August. Because, of course, the problems were all obviously caused by the Democrats. Skyrocketing crime, skyrocketing inflation, wide open borders. And these are very solid issues for Conservatives to run on because they're like, we'd like to punish criminals. The Democrats are like, no. We'd like to not just print money so that the money is worthless. And the Democrats are like, no. We're literally going to call it an Inflation Reduction Act. And if you look at the graph of inflation, it's the day that passes, the inflation skyrockets. And
it's funny how I printed all this money, but I called what I'm doing reducing inflation.
Yes. We'll get to the lies about that in a minute. But and then the borders, of course, we've got like 2 million people a year coming across. Was it a year? Was it? I can't even remember. It's millions. Millions of just...
Is that illegal or legal?
Illegal. Millions of illegal immigrants come across the borders. And the Conservatives are like, maybe we should stop this. And they're like, no, only when they get to Martha's Vineyard, okay? That's when it stops.
That's the problem.
Martha's Vineyard nationalism. And so it was unsurprising. It looked like the Republicans were going to smash it. Go fast forward to October, and everyone's like, oh my God, these are historic leads in the polls. And when you've got like historic leads, like Gallup's latest data, Gallup, that notable far-right polling organization, the latest data showed that 48% of Americans believe the Republican Party is the best equipped to solve the problems, while 37% believe it's the Democrat Party, which is interesting because at least the 37% confess that these are problems. The crime, the immigration, and inflation. Yeah, these are all problems. But I think the Democrats will solve these. It's like, are you mad? So yeah, I vote Democrat. Of course I'm bloody mad. Right? Like, they're the source of the issue. Anyway.
Just to step back for a sec. Like, I'm thinking, you've got, like, the reddest states in the union. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, definitely Florida and Texas, what comes to mind for, like, big states, massive red population.
Yeah.
Texas changing a little bit, but whatever. And if these states were failed states, as in, like, they couldn't keep the lights on, there was endless crime. And
like in California.
Yeah, and et cetera. You would think, well, this is a clear indictment of how the GOP can't be trusted to run anything.
Yeah.
They're biggest boys. They can't run a success. Whereas that is true for the biggest, bluest states in the union.
Yeah.
They're unironically an international embarrassment.
Yes.
Like for people who in not America, if they think of California or New York at this point, nobody thinks money. Nobody thinks sunshine.
Everyone thinks people voting with their feet.
Yeah.
And literally the population of these states going down because people are actively fleeing them. But no. 37% of people still don't know the Democrats are winning. And that's because they keep pulling out these wins miraculously. This 11-point edge was one of the best they've ever had. Looking at 20 midterm elections since 1946 when this question was asked, only once have they had a larger advantage on this question. And that was in 1946 when they had a 17-point lead on the Democrats. Okay. And again, we can see this is just the aggregate of polls. If you look at 538's aggregate, if you scroll down just so you can see the actual Yeah, there we go. Like, scroll down so you can see the actual aggregate of the polls. But of course, the Republicans, they're doing better than the Democrats just overall. And it's like, okay, Go to the New York Post. This is in November, beginning of November the 6th, in fact. Leading the polls, Republicans position for victory, red wave coming. This is why Joe Biden's, Joe Rogan even, is like, this is going to be like The Shining. And because all of the indications are there. Yeah, this is going to be a bloodbath, as ended up trending on Twitter afterwards. Because, Biden is 10 points underwater in disapproval rating.
There's not any argument you can stand on.
No.
Like, not a single one can you say, well, we've got the moral righteousness on this.
No. Everything that he's done has been terrible. Literally, the withdrawal of Afghanistan, the policy on COVID, the policy on inflation, the policy on... Like, he's causing all of the problems. Like, he's actively... We can point to decisions Biden or his administration have made, and from those decisions, the problem goes up.
Yeah. Like, here's the 5 things that voters care about: crime, economy, border. And it's just like, okay, well, who wins on those arguments?
How about cashless bail, Callum? That'll solve the crime problem.
I don't think that was in the top 5.
No, but exactly. This is the thing. It's like they are responsible for all of them, right? And so this is bad. And so minorities started going Republican as well, which is good. If you go to the next one, you see 17% of black voters said they were going to pick a Republican rather than the 8% in 2018. That's a huge slice of the black vote they're losing. Obviously, about half of Latino voters. I think the Democrats are only 5 points ahead with Latino voters and stuff like this. So these demographic blocks are like, yeah, actually, these guys are really causing the problem. And so I might so you might be thinking, okay, this looks bad for the Democrats, right? All of the signs are looking bad. And so the media starts getting scared because the Republicans have got some quite strong candidates. Someone like Carrie Lake, who Mehdi Hassan, this is an amazing segment. I watched this entire segment because it was just like...
Look at that dislike ratio.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing, right? Let's just play this clip.
But number 3, the biggest reason that Carrie Lake is so dangerous, in my view, is unlike, say, MAGA gubernatorial candidates Doug Mastriano in Pennsylvania or Tudor Dixon in Michigan, who are both trailing in the polls, Carrie Lake has a strong chance of actually winning in Arizona. The most recent CBS News poll shows Lake tied with her Democratic opponent, Katie Hobbs. Meanwhile, there are echoes of Trump and 2016. Many in our media still frame Lake as if she's some normal Republican candidate and not a dangerous far-right extremist.
Accidental advertising. Good message. Carrie Lake seems quite nice to me, but she's scary, really scary. And what I love about Mehdi Hassan, though, is they obviously just have him on a green screen. Like, look at this nice background now. We're just going to Photoshop that up for you, Mehdi. We're not going to give you that room. You're going to have a box.
I've never noticed that. That's totally true.
But it's obviously green screen, and his audio is terrible. So he's obviously just got sort of like a janitor closet.
Like, I can hear the fan in the background.
Yeah, exactly. But he's got the worst studio in the world.
But also just his whole point is we don't demonize her enough.
Yeah.
Okay, mask off.
She's evil.
But what is the purpose in the media in his view? It's to demonize people. That's it.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it, right?
Okay, Mehdi.
And you can demonize people along any axis if you just believe hard enough. Let's watch this next clip from everyone's favorite MSNBC anchor, Joy Reid.
People I ever hear use the word inflation are journalists and economists, right? So that is not part of the normal lexicon of the way people talk. So it's interesting that Republicans are doing something they don't normally do, right? Which is not use the common tongue, right? Not use just common English to sort of do on their campaigns like they're doing with crime. But what they've done is they've taught people the word inflation, right? Yeah. Most people who would have never used that word ever in their lives are using it now because they've been taught it, including on TV, including in newspapers. They've been taught this word, and they sort of wrap this word around whatever it is that they really want to vote, the reasons they really want to vote.
Right. So the Republicans are guilty of educating people.
No, I'm sorry. Like, how rich of an out-of-touch asshole do you have to be to think that, well, none of my friends talk about inflation, so none knows it?
Well,
none of
assume
the plebs feel it every day.
The stupid pawns can't possibly know what an inflation is.
Yeah, like all my money's worthless. I can't buy what I need.
Yeah,
they don't know what inflation is.
Yeah, they can't tell. It's just not in the common tongue, Callum.
Yeah, the only people who don't know what inflation with are incredibly rich people who know nothing, like her.
Yeah, and so you can demonize your opponents for literally teaching them things and facts about the world. And of course, Joy Reid's...
What a criticism as well.
Yeah, exactly. Joy Reid's audience must have been like, yeah, good point. They are teaching me. bastards. How dare they? I was living in blissful ignorance.
Shoving Cheetos in
Yeah,
my
exactly. Yeah. Like, I knew nothing and I was happy. You know, they've made me miserable by pointing out that Biden is making my money worthless. How am I going to vote Democrat now? Like, and the thing is, right, okay, you could say, right, okay, well, then, fair enough. Why don't we just go the whole hog, right? Why don't we just get on talking heads who are like Sam Hyde? Let's watch this next one.
Fucking what?
And a historian 50 years from now, if historians are allowed to write in this country, and if there are still free publishing houses and a free press, which I'm not certain of, but if that is true, a historian will say what was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed. We're on the edge of a brutal authoritarian system, and it could be a week away.
They are literally coming to kill your kids, says one Democrat talking head.
I thought you were joking when you mentioned Sam Hyde. But
No, they're going to come to your house and kill your children.
They'll arrest all the historians.
Yeah.
They'll kill your kids.
I mean,
They'll beat you in the street.
I'm amazed this rung at all with the average Democrat voter. Who's like, yeah, but I've had 17 abortions. I don't have kids. Like, you know, who do you think you're? But apparently it worked. You know, if there's, as we saw a minute ago, to get the youth vote turnout, just tell them profound lies. Tell them that your enemies are evil. They're gonna educate you and then kill you for some reason. You know, like they're just gonna do all of this. They're evil far right people. You just don't trust them.
No effort to convince you of anything.
No.
No issue to stand on and say, well, look, we're right on this and they're
They're
wrong
gonna
on that.
kill you.
They're just we got nothing. So you know those guys, don't vote for them. I don't know. They'll kill you or something.
End of democracy. They're gonna murder your children and teach you things. You don't want any of that, do you? Good point. I don't. That sounds awful. And so you get like just outright lies. Just forgot this. Oh yes, of course I forgot. Barack Obama. Now, I'm not going to play this because I'm sure you've seen it already, but just look at what you're looking at. What is this?
I haven't, but it looks like cancer.
Look at it. It's an adult, like man-child. I don't dare I be misgendering this ambiguous person.
What, Obama?
No, Obama's the only obvious man in the room. But
Is he?
But look what you're looking at. Like, this is what a child would be like. And then Obama, grandfatherly Obama, sat down and said, you know, you've got to vote Democrat or else they're going to murder you all. Right. It's like, you just got to do it. So democracy is over, and the 1,000-year Reich that Hitler was promising will finally be brought in by the 2022 midterms, right? Like that's, you just got to get out and vote, or else everything dies and it's an inferno of hell. That's the Democrat message, right? To children hiding under the table.
Yeah.
So okay, okay. You just,
But it's a question like you compare America's youth, whatever that is, compared to those who went and fought against the Nazis and the Japs. I just think to myself, like, okay, yeah, one of these groups had the right to vote rightfully, and one of these groups really shouldn't.
Just look at Obama's body language.
She's like, yeah, you are literally an idiot.
Listen, you pathetic weasel. All you have to do is get out from under the table and vote for me, and then the world won't explode. That's all you need to know. Don't listen to them. They're going to educate you and then murder you. Don't. Like, it's just. Anyway,
reverse Pol Pot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, but we don't murder people. At least not, Anyway, let's move on. So you get the. I'm going to skip over the bunch of these videos. It's just like the diversity hire. No, go back. I'll just describe it. Like the diversity hire is like. So isn't it Orwellian to call the Inflation Reduction Act Reduction Act because it actually increased the inflation, and literally we can't find a single economist who suggests it'll do that. And she's like, no. So great. We're going to print more money. Everyone will have more money. It's like, yeah, so right. So that's the next strategy. Your opponent's going to kill you and just never tell the truth. Just lie about everything.
Well, it's not even
constant lies.
But it's not even an impressive one. It's not like I did not have sexual. Well, I didn't have sexual relations with that woman. It's dumb, but you could try it. Printing money doesn't cause inflation. Good luck.
You don't know what inflation means. It's a mystical word that the Republicans have put into your lexicon, into the common tongue. Like, you don't know. Don't worry about that. Anyway, moving on. So we get the political class who are just like, wow, I just can't understand how the Democrats won a lot of this.
Yeah, well, it's really impressive, isn't it?
Which is, it's incredible. It's, considering the regime-prescribed facts that we're allowed to talk about on YouTube, it does become inexplicable. as this political commentator says. 2022 is supposed to be a bloodbath for Democrats. House, Senate, and governor happens to most first-time presidents, except with George W. Bush. If Dems keep the Senate, that's an accomplishment. If they get 4 to 5 gubernatorial races, it's a win for democracy. Win for democracy. But again, they can't explain it.
Democracy can only win with a certain outcome again.
Yes. Yeah, democracy's over if you vote for the other team, remember. But it's just one of those things where it's like they can't believe they won. They didn't even realize their own genius, their own brilliance. They weren't like, no, we've got this in the back. They're like, oh God, this is all going to crash down. What? We won? Oh my God. Yeah, Republican.
Well, that's convenient.
You're not going to be murdered by a Republican today.
It's like on Facebook, marked safe.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get to the next one. This is a professor and Miami Herald journalist. The extent the press got gamed by this fall by conservative pundits and pollsters, well, that should be studied for a long, long time. Yeah. The pollsters, the notoriously right-leaning pollsters, like they're all just like, yeah, well, they fooled you.
They told us Brexit would happen. Remember?
Yeah.
Of course.
Anyway, so Lauren Boebert lost her seat again, just okay, and then lots of people were laughing. Carrie Lake looks like she's lost by quite a significant margin, actually. Although, oh no, it's still counting in. So it might be. This might be wrong. I don't know, but
still, how is it that close?
Yeah, but it does seem that Arizona, in all of the ways, has gone blue for some reason. If you go to the next one, they've got this. So they've got literally the Secretary of State. If you scroll down, Attorney General. For some reason, Democrats just wildly popular in Arizona. Who knew?
It's being pro-murder.
Yeah. Pro-open borders, pro-inflation.
Everyone's I guess that's a campaign we got to run, Carl.
Yeah. No, it literally is. The Americans are like, yeah, I like that idea. No, I don't need to be educated on what inflation means.
I need to be dead.
I'm sick of living in a nice country. That's called a privilege. And so...
You need to check your life privilege.
And so people are just like at a loss to explain this. Like, this is just one I found, just on Twitter, just some rando. Unless I'm missing something, it's a bloodbath for Republicans across the board. Midterms almost never go this way. Yeah, that's right. They almost never go this way. It's really weird that this has happened.
Looks like amazing strategy.
Looks like the pollsters underestimated Joe Biden's appeal and leadership. Incredible. Yeah, they did. They did. They absolutely did. Joe Biden's appeal. I won't kill you, but my opponent will. I don't know.
Well, I might not kill you.
Yeah, well, I might not kill you, yeah. Possibly the criminals I let out of jail will kill you. But anyway, let's go to the next one. This is a Washington...
got my vote.
A former Washington Post journalist. This is a great thread. I won't worry about going through the whole thing because we haven't got time. But he's just gobsmacked at the results. He's just like, well, what the hell is this? And so this was his conclusion. If you go to the next one. Midterm message so far is clear. Voters want more crime and completely open borders.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I mean, what's he meant to take from it? Like,
look, whenever you speak to an American, that's usually what they tell you.
Yeah.
I can't believe our illegal immigration is so low. And I cannot believe that the crime is so low.
Yeah.
Honestly, we really ought to cut back on the budget and just increase the crime.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know what else you meant to say from this. And as you covered earlier, but New York were like, yep, we'd like more crime, please. Colorado, for some reason...
voted crime?
Yeah, they voted crime and open borders. We can get to the next one. Again, this is just amazing. This is from the Colorado Sun. There's no point in pulling out the thesaurus to find more words for how brutal, how demoralizing, how devastating last night was for Colorado Republicans. Well, they wanted to lock up criminals. Terrible.
Bad strategy. Honestly, I think if you check any political textbook, it will tell you, somewhere in there, that the real winning strategy is to just be pro-murder, that your own constituents should be killed in the streets, and that's what people vote for.
But then, all you need to do is say that your opponents are evil.
Yeah.
Unmitigated, unvarnished evil, and are going to be a threat to the republic, a threat to democracy, and will probably cause the sky to fall.
When you're being thrown in front of a train in the New York Metro,
yep.
You're going to at least scream, well, at least...
Yep.
I didn't vote Republican.
When MS-13 killing you and storming your house, you'd be like, well, it's better than having to pay lower taxes.
There's guys down at the border burying more kids who've drowned in the river. Thank God I voted for Joe Biden.
I mean, it's at least not voter suppression, let's be fair. And so you get lots of strange interpretations of how exactly did this happen? Well, it turns out abortion won. Very positive message. The Republicans are going to kill your kids, but abortion won.
So, I mean, this is something where there's such a disconnect between the United States
20,000 likes on that.
and the rest of the planet. Like, pick any country. I think
know.
Lauren Southern mentioned, like, Canada's the only other one, them and North Korea, who think that abortion should be as legal as it is in America.
Yeah.
Everyone else on the planet is like, freaking what? And for some reason, I do actually wonder if this is a genuine, just cultural difference in the extreme. Like, the North Americans, their women seem to have been convinced that this is normal,
Yeah.
that you should actually insist that you should have abortion on demand. It's like, and you should celebrate it. Not just that you should have access to it or anything like that. You should be celebrating it.
Abortion won. So, right.
Huh?
Murdering babies won all of this, according to one pundit.
But the argument isn't like I should be able to have an abortion in the early stages or if my life's threatened. It's not that debate. No. It's should it be on demand?
It's just the concept of abortion. Pro-abortion. We should do more abortions.
If you want an abortion, get one.
Oh,
Sorry,
God.
that
Yeah,
still
I hate
haunts
it
me.
so much, man.
You've seen that clip, right?
Yeah. That's the former late night host.
Yeah, I think it was on Stephen Colbert's show or something.
Yeah.
Like she just comes out. If people haven't seen it, there's this lady on one of his shows, and they have like an
I can't
abortion
remember her name.
parade.
She's an insufferable comedian.
Yeah, she's not funny. But they come out and she's got some confetti and she just goes, "If you want an abortion, get one," and throws the confetti in the air, and then just does that for a whole bunch of times, celebrating that everyone who has an abortion is a hero. Not someone who's having to go through something quite traumatic and deserves your sympathy if they're doing it.
See,
'cause they have
if
to.
the Republicans were smart, they would literally just describe the Democrats as the party of Satan. Like,
Well, no, they would play the clips that show the party of Satan.
well, yeah, okay.
Just quotes from the Bible at the bottom as they show you the footage.
yeah. But I mean, like, the hardcore MAGA chuds who are all like, yeah, the demon KKK rats. I agree with them. I really agree with them.
Well, it's
Demon KKK rats.
if you're celebrating that abortion is great and the Klan didn't do nothing,
It's basically what they do. Anyway, so moving on, you got the lesbian governor, which is amazing, fantastic.
yeah.
You got the first black governor, which again, just rounds of applause.
Yeah,
rounds of applause.
So, everything's been saved. Democracy is now at 100%, I think.
Pennsylvania, where the polls were too close to call between a literal stroke victim who can't formulate a sentence and some guy who nobody really likes. Well, the stroke victim won. Just go to the next one. It's just, I mean, this just. Oh yeah, this was where was it? Where the hell was this from?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, that was it. But yeah, but going back to Fetterman, I mean, that really tells you everything, doesn't it? It's like, look, right, just don't run an unlikable candidate because people will literally vote for the person who is cognitively impaired and unable to finish a sentence if they prefer him. You can run.
You can't hate Fetterman, that's true.
Yeah, you can run an actual potato against someone who's unlikable,
Yeah.
and Lurch will win. Okay, there we go. Lesson learned.
Like, the potato is less offensive
I guess so.
to my values because, I mean, like, well... I mean, can you really ever be mad at the mentally disabled kid when he throws up on you?
No,
It's
not
just
really.
like, well...
He's a generally sympathetic figure. Let's make him the governor.
Yeah, funnily enough, there's a cartoonist whose name I forget. He published a cartoon yesterday of Winnie the Pooh becoming the president.
Yeah.
And the interviews is just like some guy explaining to him, okay, so we're gonna talk about Big Pharma, and he's like, oh, that sounds good. And he's like, oh, why would it sound good? Oh, Big Farm. That's got to be good for people, isn't it? And it's like it doesn't correct him because he's too Pooh's too retarded and too innocent to be told the truth. And that's what reminds me of Fetterman here. It's just like, I don't even want to ask him his opinion on abortion. Just let him live in his world.
Also, it's remarkable how the Democrats are like, oh, democracy will be over. It's like, yeah, but democracy is going to put stroke victims in office.
Like, they've got to have a job somewhere.
Do they though?
Well, yeah.
I mean, can't he have convalescent care?
Well,
Just
if we're going to employ a bunch of idiots to run the government, we might as well use people who got enough better to do.
I think he does have better things to do.
Oh, I don't know
Like
about that.
have a nap, like have some medicine. Anyway, moving on. Just quick, New Hampshire. Oh, it was neck and neck. It was neck and neck, but in the end, boom, the Democrats crushed it. 54% to 43.5%. It's okay. You thought you were going to do something there, didn't you? No, you got wrecked. And so, just finally, we got a Democrat talking head being like, election 2022 is already shaping up to be the best performance by the party holding the White House in recent history. Why? Because the Dems put people over politics and are focused on lower costs, better paying jobs and safer communities. The brazenness of these lies. look, I know
Things-
you're scared of your own community. I know you can't afford your groceries or to fill up your car, but we are putting people over,
Look, Carl,
over
Carl,
politics.
2 years ago, things were more expensive. My money was worth less, and my community was safer. I don't know what's wrong with you. Why do you not recognise that things have just gotten better? That is why it's a winning strategy.
It's mad. And so, like, you can just demonize your opponents and lie constantly. And the Republicans on the other side will be like, well, the Democrats' anti-MAGA strategy worked. I guess it did. I guess you got totally destroyed because you suck at politics and the Democrats know what they're doing. Or, well, I mean, that's literally all I can say, isn't it?
Better paying jobs. Yeah, now your money's worth 20% less. Everyone's better paid.
Job.
What amazing.
Just imagine how much they were being paid in Zimbabwe. Anyway, that's that.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium book clubs we do, this one on Jonathan Haidt's The Righteous Mind. If you'd like to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.